Good evening and welcome to One Idea Live. And we are back after 2 weeks. I had to take a break last week owing to, well, there's only really one reason why stuff doesn't happen the way it's supposed to happen this entire year. So we'll not get into that. My name is Ramya Pandian. I also go by Idea Smith or Idea Smithy. And as far as possible, I try and do this every Wednesday at 10 p.m. I invite someone that I find super interesting to join me on a friendly date where we chat about some topic of mutual interest. And this week, since it's been such a heavy time for all of us, I thought I'd go back to a topic that intrigues me greatly, which is how do people meet and try to fall in love? So, our topic today is first date, and my date today is a very dear friend. Shall I bring him on? I'm going to take a second first and join this live from my computer as well because of, well, okay, I seem to have misplaced my specs, but okay, here they are. Oh, I have misplaced my specs. I had them here a minute ago. All right, there they are. Okay, yeah, all the awkward things that happen on a date happen to me even on this live. There it is. Thank you, Devanshi. Devanshi is saying, hey, gorgeous. So thank you so much. Give me a second while I join the live via my browser as well. And there. So none of you can see me, but I'm also there. This way I can read the comments over there. Okay, so euphonious_silence says, oh my god, so pretty. Thank you. I call this look satirizing beauty, but more on that another time. Fracture Mechanist is saying you look really good today. Thank you so much. I do this all for everyone else. No, I'm lying. I do this primarily for myself because it makes me feel good, but it makes me feel extra good when all of you come in and give compliments. I hope you're all staying safe. I think it's too much to hope that none of you have someone that you're worried about, because we all have someone that we're worried about. All we can do is keep hoping, and I'm not going to go into toxic positivity, but I'm trying my best to keep a cheerful, hopeful frame of mind. So if that's where you are as well, then welcome in. And I am going to invite my the drum roll. Everyone, please drum at your ends. I've invited him. He's not in yet. Okay, there he is. Okay, both our heads were cut off, so maybe you can move back a little.
Yeah, there we go.
There is the gorgeous Jai Ranjit, who is also a fabulous painter, as you can tell from that painting in the background. That is not a green screen. That is an actual Jai Ranjit original, and the original Jai Ranjit is in front of that. Okay, that's terrible. Jai,
Absolutely.
I am super awkward on dates, but mercifully, this is not our first date. Not on this live, and not in real life either. So, how are you today?
Absolutely. Always a pleasure. I wish I had a drink with me. Unfortunately, I don't.
So, by the way, my friend Richard, about an hour before this live, I reminded him of the live, and he said, I'll be there and I am drinking. And I said, I am also drinking cola. And then I realized that cola is probably a really bad thing to drink before or during a date.
Absolutely.
So really, fingers crossed, I'm not going to come up with a belch in between, because that'll be.
And why not? I mean, what's wrong with that, right? If you're there to impress someone, you might as well impress them.
That's terrible. Okay.
Oh, it's a skill. It's a skill.
See, isn't he a fantastic date? But I'm sure the rest of you are not so lucky. And we tend to be very worried when we go out on dates with people who are not Jai Ranjit. So this is for everyone in the room. What are some foods or drinks that are absolute no-nos on first dates, and why? Type in your comments, because I want to read those as well. And so does Jai Ranjit. So Jai, what do you think? Other than dates with me, because you know I love you regardless, but what would you not want to eat or drink on a first date?
Not eat or drink on a first date. Definitely anything that's going to stain your teeth. So probably beetroot is something I would avoid because that just looks dangerous. But also maybe something like squidding pasta or something where it's going to just do something amazing with your mouth. No pun intended. And it's going to be really odd
that's probably
looking.
not a bad thing. Pasta is probably a great way to show off certain skills.
It is definitely, but not when your mouth looks like you've leapt up from the tar pits of Hades. So it's a little bit odd from that point of view. But other things that I would avoid most likely would be maybe pesto, like pesto sauces with bread or something.
Oh,
Yeah, that just like leaves a whole bunch of leaves all over your mouth, which is slightly odd. But that can be kind of taken away and shifted out. I mean, what we've we've got a couple of mentions over here in the text
yeah,
as
yeah.
well.
Jinso boy is saying
Jinsuk boy
soup
says
and
soups and
shots.
shots.
Just trust me, don't do it. I like
Why
that.
why
There's a
would
weird story there.
you have soup and shots? That just makes no sense. Why so
No,
warm
but
and then
why
so
not?
warm?
Why
No,
not?
but it's
Why
so
not?
warm. You just start sweating.
Listen, I would totally be intrigued by a guy who wanted to try that because experimental and all that. Now it's a
But
different thing.
in that
Experiments
case,
can go wrong, but
I would say in that case then the shots have to come at the end, not right at the beginning, because otherwise you're going to spend the whole day just sweating.
soup makes you
Right?
sweat.
Yeah, I mean hot soup will make you sweat a little bit, and then you
Oh,
have hot shots after that.
so then by that logic, then also no spicy food, nah, no wasabi like you were having just before
Oh,
this.
definitely, definitely. Yeah, for the rest of you, for a little bit of context, I was eating sushi for dinner a little while ago, and while we were prepping and getting everything sorted, I didn't realize that one of the pieces of sushi had a whole bunch of wasabi at the bottom of it, and that's also kind of why my hair looks the way it does, is because it's just
It
given
looks
up on me
great.
from the horseradish hit, so to speak, because that
No, but
obviously
it
that's
looks
not real
very
wasabi,
good.
but we'll call it that. But yeah,
It,
was challenging somebody to wasabi on the first date, not a good idea.
so I don't. So wasabi, I would agree, mainly because my sinuses and all that, and my nose runs, and I don't mind so much sweating. But the nose running is just super awkward, and especially if you're a woman and you keep going, and all the lipstick and
I
all
think
also comes off
anyone,
in the hanky and tissue and
yeah, I
all.
think anyone for that matter trying to blow their nose on a first date is just like, because okay, you know what though, there is a certain level of judgment that comes with that, where you kind of get to judge a person on how they blow their nose, because
Really? Okay, tell
you
me
have
about
three types of
this.
people, right? You have the first type that does it very politely, apologizes before doing it, puts the napkin up and just does a very light like that, and is done with it. Then you have the wiper, who is
These
essentially
people
just
grow up to be serial
window
killers.
cleaning.
These
No,
people
not
grow up
really.
to be
They're just
serial
people who
killers.
are odd. They're just very odd. Like they'll just like wipe their nose like it's a window. And then you have the third type which dabs and then troubles the nose more, sneezes, and then has to blow their nose again. So it's like double shot.
So I think I'll probably be the third one. As a lifelong allergy sufferer, the first kind, in my opinion, grow up to be serial killers. No, who does that? Yeah, like so politely and all that. And how can you how can how would you have a preamble to a? This is like those people who sneeze, like I'm going to see, and then you don't even hear it. Like
So
what?
there is a trick to type one where you actually take a sip of water, right? It loosens everything in your throat a little bit. So when you're blowing, there's no blockage and the airflow is just smoother. And it's just easier than to put a little bit of pressure and just like knock whatever you need to knock out.
Okay.
But yeah, I think we're
You
getting
are
too far
type
up the
one,
nose with
aren't
this
you? Aren't
at the
you?
moment.
You are type one.
Um, but yeah, coming back, somebody mentioned garlic, so I think garlic would be definitely something to avoid. Although I love garlic,
Yeah,
and
same here.
I have the common courtesy not to chew garlic and then just like go up close to a person's face and speak. Like there is dessert to cover it. There is a whole bunch of different types of mints and soft and all that kind of jazz. So there are different ways to counteract it, but it's yeah,
And
I
anyway,
don't know why you.
now the pandemic has probably made masks a lifelong reality for us. So we would probably have to rethink how we do dates
True,
also. Like we will all have to wear
true, but
masks.
I think by the time everyone's back out in the world on first dates again, we will be sitting without masks across a table. So I think that should be fine. But if not, there's still ways of having fun. And you also then get to eat as much garlic as you want, and you don't have
I
to
know,
worry about
right?
it.
I know. So how about this? And let's go back and look at people's comments also. But pani puri is on the first date.
Yeah, I'm not a pani puri fan to begin with, so for me it's a definite no-no. Yeah,
Why am
I'm
I
just
learning such
not into that.
shocking things about you, Jay?
You know
After
this. You already know this.
you break my heart. You break my heart. Okay, everyone in the
I
live,
just
like Pani Puri date, first date, yes or no?
no, 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 no.
Yes, man.
It
Yes.
is it is the most unelegant way of eating
Exactly.
anything.
Exactly. It is the most honest way of eating. So I have to say
No.
this. I have to share this experience. I suppose I'm very lucky and very blessed. My very first date, if you could even call it that, was way back when we were very sanskari people in India. We didn't do these dirty things like dates and all that. We only saw those in Archie comics. So there was this young man that I met at somewhere in some event, and he suggested that I come. We had to go to the event the next day as well in the evening. So he suggested, why don't you come to Bandra and meet me, because his college was in Bandra, and then we will travel together. I said, ha, theek hai, because even I wanted to see more of him, and that is his way of asking me out without actually asking me out. And then he said, I'm getting an award for something, so you come and I will pick it up. And then, so that is like the little humble brag over there. And we'll have lunch also there. I said, "Theek," and we were Kadka college students. So then, where did we go for lunch? We went to Bandra McDonald's, which was just like a few feet away from his college. And Bandra McDonald's was very cool at one point of time because it was the only McDonald's in Mumbai. And I
Correct.
had never been there. So that was like my first ever time I was walking into a McDonald's. And I ordered a burger because I was a young teenager. I didn't know how messy burgers are. And I had just like one tiny tissue. So I took one bite and it squirted. So I go, sorry, sorry, and I wipe everything. And I'm like super conscious and everything. Then I take one more bite and everything squirts from the side. He actually goes, after a while he stops and he looks at me, and I'm thinking, oh god, oh god, oh god, like the let the floor open and swallow me. And he says, niche rak. And he spoke in Hindi, so I put it down. And he's like this super cool towny guy and all, and he's speaking in Hindi, switches to Hindi, and he's like, niche rak, abhi tu 10 baar sorry bol. I'm like, what? And he says, bol na, 10 baar sorry bol. हो गया अभी खा. It's junk food. Junk food is meant to be eaten messily. So enjoy the burger. And I like, oh, this is this is true love. So I was very lucky, and that is the attitude I've carried since then. Like you
No,
should not
definitely.
shame anyone for enjoying their food, and
No,
like
absolutely, absolutely. But there is a it's just odd to see someone opening their mouth like um I want to say the Sarlacc from Star Wars, or possibly the Space Slug trying to eat the Millennium Falcon. It's odd to see someone just go like this to consume something that technically shouldn't be shoved that in its entirety into their mouth, and then watching them struggle to not drown as the pani goes down their throat. So it's odd for me. It's really weird for me, and I have a very bad gag reflex. So for me, it's just like trauma to watch someone do that. But yeah, for me, there was one where we'd gone for ice cream, and they basically just took 14, 15 minutes deciding on an ice cream flavor. And it made no sense to me because I was like, this place literally has like 17 flavors. How are you taking 15 minutes from 17
so
flavors?
maybe they were trying to impress you with with their choice of ice cream flavor. So again, for everyone in the
It
live,
it
is
wasn't that complex.
no, but maybe like I'm just theorizing. Maybe is there is there a better like is there any particular flavor that is cooler to order ice cream flavor on a first date, and is there any that are no nos? So I'll probably say maybe tender coconut at Naturals, or any natural mango ice cream may not be a good idea because they will have strands, and going back to what you said about stuff that getting stuck in the mouth and all that in the teeth and stuff like
True,
that.
but again, that's at the end of the night, so I mean it's fine. Unless you're going for like an afternoon date or something, which even then you'd rather be watching someone eat a natural ice cream flavor rather than some kind of other random stuff, which is a weird concoction like bubble gum or some nonsense.
So
Um,
I'm just weird that way. I love those lurid blue colored flavors that Baskin Robbins has. There is one. It's the color of my dress and
yeah, I know
some of the lyrics
it's actually the
painted.
color of the sky here.
Correct. And it's like alternating both these in swirls.
Yeah.
Like it's so exciting.
For me, it's just straight up simple stuff, vanilla, chocolate chips, or mango or something. Enjoy, because that's what you're there for ice cream and to enjoy.
Nobody has left any comments. People, please jump in with your thoughts also about this. Interrupt us. Feel free to interrupt us.
Yes.
But you mentioned DIY, right? So, do you think DIY activities make for a good first date? Any kind of
Oh,
DIY?
absolutely. Absolutely. Any kind of artistic, creative event or
Yeah.
situation definitely makes for a lot of fun because you get to engage, you get to make fun of each other and your skills, and you get to do a whole bunch of stuff. So it loosens things up, it makes it a little bit easier, and it's not just necessarily a first date only thing. It's something to really engage in on multiple occasions, where on your first date if you try one thing, then maybe somewhere down the line you try something else, and it also then becomes good memories by association. So it's fun to
Yeah.
kind of do that and bring some good energy into that situation.
So there's something again very specific in this that you and I have in common. But and I want to open this up to everyone here in the live. Would you enjoy? Have you ever done a DIY on a first date? And would you do this? And what do you think? And why? But so Jay, you're a painter and you're extremely artistic and you're very passionate about it. And I'm a writer, and similarly, so I'm very passionate and I really enjoy it. So either of us would be very comfortable doing DIY in any of the creative pursuits. Even if they're
Absolutely.
not things that we do, like cooking, for instance, is not something that I do a lot, but it's still a creative pursuit. So I would be very happy to be part of a DIY or woodworking for that matter. You have some experience in that with the lino cuts and all, but
Correct.
I don't. But still, but do you feel like a lot of other people may not be comfortable? For instance, some people may be intimidated doing anything painting related with you. And I know for a fact that people seem to, because I've been told this, they get a little intimidated doing anything writing or performance related with me in a casual
So
setting. So,
So that's where you have to step up because it's your realm and you have to
yeah,
make sure the other person is comfortable.
right.
The idea is not to come across as a know-it-all,
Yeah,
grandiose grandmaster of chess kind of a situation with them. What you want to do is just say, you know what, okay, we're in my arena, this is my
yeah,
space, but let me share my knowledge with you, right? Kind of
yeah.
just make it a nice, comfortable situation where you get to tell your story. It's
Hmm.
not about bragging, not about being like, oh, I'm this, I'm that. It's just about saying, you know what, this reminds me of when I started, and
Yeah.
here's what I did when I began. Here are the mistakes I made when I began.
So
So,
I
and
know
here's
that
what I
you,
learned, like relaxing around making those mistakes because art is meant to be fun, or making is meant to be fun.
correct.
So
No.
it,
So,
it kind of
yeah,
becomes your responsibility, but it's not also something that you have to see as like, oh, I must do this in a particular way. And it doesn't need to turn into a class. Right. It
right.
just needs to be a good kind of segue into conversation.
So I still feel like because see, I have painted with you, I've drawn and painted with you, and I know you're very welcoming about it. And I don't know if I'm quite as welcoming about writing, but I try in this in Alphabet Samba. And Devanshi has said yes, it can get intimidating, but she's been part of Alphabet Samba events with me, so we try our best. But I was just thinking, for instance, I'm not at all comfortable dancing. I don't dance. I'm very, very, I have stage fright or XYZ. I'm not at all comfortable, number of reasons. And I have people in my life who are good dancers, who are dance teachers even. I would be so thoroughly intimidated if I had to go on a date with one of them, first date with someone like that. I would not want to go anywhere near a dance floor because it would just make
For
me feel
me, it's
like,
the
see,
other way
what if
around,
nobody,
actually.
sorry?
For me, it's the other way
What?
around because it's their dance floor, quite literally. So if I'm
Yeah.
going there knowing nothing, I would actually want someone who knows what they're doing to lead me around and show me. And it has been
So
that way
that
before,
would
where I
work.
gone for a concert once, and like when I say concert, it was more of like a formal evening of sorts. It was like
Right.
a special
Yeah.
the club that their family was a member of, and so I got invited along. I went there, and I don't dance that way. I'm not a formally trained dancer of any kind, but she was, and so she just said like, "Would you mind if I take the lead?" I was like, please do.
Right.
I don't mind being in this situation because I can't lead you on a dance floor where everyone else is moving
Correct.
gracefully, doing waltzes
Correct.
and things
Correct.
like that. Right. So I would want the partner to be someone who knows what they're doing as compared to
Right.
a fool like me
Yeah.
who is just going to be flapping around like a bird
True.
in
True. True. True.
in
Yeah.
glue. So it really depends on how you approach the situation, really. If it's something that you know you're going to be comfortable with it,
Yeah.
but they might not be, then you have
Yeah.
to also mentally and emotionally prepare yourself to say, okay, I need to be able to look after them. I need to be able to make sure
Yeah.
they're having a good time and look out for signs which say that, okay, this person's not having fun. We need
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
bounce.
So I think there's 2 points there. For instance, I knew someone who was a trained pilot. He had a pilot's license, and he said, if you ever come down to Hyderabad, then I can take you up on a joyride. Now I know nothing at all about flying, so obviously in a situation like that, I would have been very comfortable. Not only comfortable, it would have meant completely entrusting myself in his hands, my life really in his hands, and that would have been okay. But something like drawing, painting, writing, cooking, dancing, not to devalue these, obviously, but these feel a little more accessible to everyone. So then it feels a little like
Absolutely.
I'm not doing my part, like the other person is having to kind of carry me all throughout. So that would probably
Yeah,
make
but
me very uncomfortable.
for me, it doesn't feel that way because, again, like at some point, if they are welcoming to me in
Yeah,
their space,
yeah,
they would be open to coming into my space,
right.
doing something that I am good at that they aren't.
Yeah, you're
Right.
right.
And
You're
that's
right.
where you kind of even the score a little bit and you're just like,
Yeah,
yeah, here's my one for your one. And we both are on par with
yeah.
each other. And I
So
think
there
that
was
the
a
best
string
way
of
to
cards. So people really like what you just said.
yeah. So I think it really comes down to just saying that if we're doing this, then we have to do this so that
Yeah,
everyone's having a good time.
yeah,
Right?
yeah, yeah.
What
Absolutely. Yeah,
I'll give you an example of a really bad first date where we went out for lunch, everything seemed fine, and there was a random woman sitting at the table next to us. Now, the game was going pretty bland for that matter. There was no real conversation. I think I was like, okay, this is not going anywhere as such.
yeah.
And suddenly, this woman gets up and sits down at the table and is just like, so what are your intentions with my daughter? And I'm just like,
Oh,
I'm sorry,
oh,
excuse
oh,
me.
oh, oh my
Yeah.
God.
And so that moment I freaked out. And so I just like got up and left because I was like, yeah, I don't want to deal with this. This is not a fun situation.
This
So
is
you
not,
do get
yeah,
the awkward end of
yeah.
the spectrum as much as you get the caring side of the spectrum, which is like, okay,
No,
are
no, no.
you
This
comfortable doing
is,
this? Let's go dancing, let's do this, let's do that, or whatever it is. So you get all kinds. It's odd. There have been weird ones.
so I'm actually surprised that you faced something like this because I thought this was a remnant of my generation from when we were in our 20s. Because I was in my 20s in 2000s, which was literally when we were suddenly transitioning from being, ladko ke saath baat mat karo, like the two sexes were not allowed to talk at all. And all of a sudden we were in the big bad world of the internet. So I have been on a bunch of matrimonial side dates. Except we were not supposed to call it dates because dating is not like uska affair chal raha hai kind of a thing. At the same time, we were still very progressive because my family will like completely encourage me to be on the matrimonial side. So there were no norms here. So it was not that very regressive. I'm coming and serving coffee and and wearing a sari and all that. Well, while the boy and his parents are all sitting there and eating samosas, but it wasn't like what we saw in Hollywood movies or Riverdale High and all either. So there were such things that would happen, like like the person's parents would probably be sitting at the next table and stuff like that.
yeah.
Um,
See, chaperoning is fine, but like,
no, but chaperoning,
doing
if
that
you know that there is a chaperone, this is the
correct is not knowing is not cool. It's just
so my
like,
friend, I had a colleague who was also going on all these matrimonial site meetings to call it that. She was in Bombay and her family was in Patiala, Punjab, and her dad would call every day. And because she was my colleague, she used to sit across the cubicle, and every day there would be Hanji Papa ji, Hanji Millungi se, Hanji Satrikal ji, And then on the weekend, she'd put the phone on Satyanash, ek aur weekend. And every Monday she would come in and we'd all be like, ये वाला कैसे लगा कैसे था And there was this one person that she went all the way to Pune to meet. She gets there and discovers the guy has come with his mother. Like there was no talk about this at all. इसकी बात नहीं हुई थी, and the guy has come with his mother, and his mother dictated what he should eat. बेटा ये खा लो, बेटा चाय सेहत के लिए अच्छी नहीं है, fruit juice पी लो, and things like that. So it was just like
There's all types. There's all types.
okay, so let's take a second and say hello to everyone. It's we've been talking for a while, but hi everyone, because people are watching us but not saying anything. So I'm guessing people are feeling a little neglected. So hi and thank you for being here. Jump in with your own thoughts on first dates and well, the do's and
Do's and
don'ts.
don'ts.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Jay and I have been talking about our some good experiences and some really, let's say, interesting
Order.
experiences,
Yeah.
learning experiences on first dates. So coming back to so DIY karaoke is not really DIY, but
But it's fun.
karaoke on a first date. Yes or no?
Fully, yes. I mean, if you're going to show off how badly you can sing, there's no better way to do it, right? Because you get to perform. Karaoke is a performance.
Yeah, it
You're
is.
you're not just like singing your favorite song. You're actually going up there to
Yeah,
put on a show,
true.
and
Yeah,
it also allows the other person to see a slightly madder side of yourself, which they
yeah,
won't always get to see,
yeah.
but something you get to show off a little bit here and there.
Yeah,
Um, in a city like Bombay, it's been tough to be able to go and do karaoke peacefully
yeah.
and not have like a whole bunch of drunken people just falling all over you. But it's still fun. I
No,
mean,
there are places actually.
I still remember Boat Club being one of the best
Yeah,
places to go and
yeah,
do
yeah.
karaoke because obviously there was one
I
gentleman
think
there who would have to sing my
Harry's in a
way.
day also used to have a
Yeah.
karaoke night and
Yeah, there was also the Den, and there's a whole bunch of places actually, but just some
yeah,
places that you felt comfortable in and you were really enjoying yourself doing
yeah,
stuff there. But yeah, Boat Club was always a fun place because everyone was welcoming, everyone gave you your space, and it didn't matter what you sang.
true, true.
So I got to put on a lovely performance of Backstreet Boys.
Oh, nice. Which
Um,
one?
I wanted that way because it's a
Uh,
hilarious song
did
because there's lots of like
did
movements
you do
and
the
dances
dance
you can do.
also? Did you do the dance
Of
also?
course. You've known me long enough, Ramya, to know that if you put on
Okay, I think Jay has frozen, or is it me? People in the live, can you hear me? Can you see Jay? Yes. Okay, now you're back. Yeah, yeah.
okay.
I wish I was on that date with you.
It was hilarious because like I sang Backstreet Boys, she sang what is it? Nothing Else Matters.
Oh, that's like a very
Metallica.
serious,
Like
good power ballad
very
type.
it's a very low song. It's a really low song, but she
Yeah,
killed
yeah.
it. So
No, I know, I know,
like
I know. It's a kind of thing like if a guy sang it, you'd be like, ooh, badass, nice. For a woman
that's
to,
true. That's true.
yeah.
But she
Uh,
made it her own, and that was absolutely phenomenal to watch. It was a performance and a half.
I love that. Fire and Ice 123 is saying, should one settle for the other one's restaurant cuisine of choice, even though you yourself don't like it, just to be nice, maybe? What do you think, Jay?
I think well, if they're organizing the date, then they should potentially ask you what your preferences are. They should be doing that. But if they are creating like an evening experience or something and try to introduce you to something different, I think
Yeah,
it's worth going and trying something out, even if you don't like it. You can always be surprised. And there's always the option of telling the person halfway through the meal, you know what, I'm not enjoying this meal. Can we go somewhere else and try something
yeah,
else? Like that is always an option. You don't always have to be very nice and sit there and smile and be like, "Yeah, let's just do this," even though you're dying inside because it's disgusting. So you can always say, "I don't want to have this," but ideally, one would discuss preferences. It's always good to also talk about it because of allergies.
yeah.
But you don't know
I,
what people could be
yep.
allergic to, you know what could be in the food. So
Nee,
it's worth
that's why
having
I
that
was going to
conversation.
say this is like a deal breaker for me because I have some food allergies, but I have a lot of very firm food preferences. If I am not liking what I'm eating, whether it's going to make me sick or not, it is definitely going to put me in a very bad mood, which is not like so. No, I don't even like going out to eat with other people, or if I do, like it has to be someone who's a really, really dear friend like Jay who knows beforehand, and like he will ask me, "What do you feel like having?" and all that. But it's the reason why I'm rather uncomfortable with like I'm going to surprise you, be ready kind of a thing. That I've never
Yeah,
liked that.
surprises only work when you know a person well enough to know what they can and
Correct.
can't eat
On
and
a
drink.
first date, it's just it feels very arrogant to assume that the person
Absolutely. I mean,
will.
I have some ridiculous allergies, so
Yep.
like
Likewise. Yeah,
if
likewise.
you just take me somewhere and feed me tiramisu, I'm probably going to collapse on you.
See, it
So
might be allergies, it might be you may have a whatever your reasons for not wanting to eat something. It could be a religious reason, it could be some kind of ethical
absolutely,
reason.
absolutely,
That is your business. So nobody has the right to force you into something that you don't really kind of want to eat.
absolutely, absolutely.
That's my take. See, for instance, alcohol. I'm I'm kind of moody on that. If I'm in the mood for it, I might drink, and even then, I'm really moody. Like I might have right now. I might be in a mood to sit at like a janta kind of a place, or I might be in a mood to only like have one glass of really good wine in a nice place. And there is no pattern in that. This is just my mood, so it doesn't
Correct.
let's go out drinking could like span this entire range. Okay, anyway, these are all
Absolutely.
really serious topics, but alcohol se yaad aaya, do you have any great first date stories? And by that I don't mean stories of first dates, but things that you keep in your repertoire to bring out on a first date because it kind of
Uh,
for whatever reason.
Not really. I mean, for me, it's just about having a good conversation, having a good time, and just spending time together, doing whatever it is. So for me, it's just a matter of conversation and just being as open as one can be. That's for me, that's the magic card that I kind of bring out from my sleeve, so to speak. But yeah, nothing special. I think when you try too hard, it shows, and then it's just a bit off-putting because you're like, okay, this person's really trying to impress me, and they
Yeah.
don't need to, uh,
It's
for
not
that
about
matter. So,
impress. I mean, and again, I risk sounding like a total boor when I say this, but I'm not usually low on confidence on a date. And since I don't date that frequently, even from the dating apps or whatever, it takes me a really long time before I get to a point of saying I'm interested in meeting this person in real life. So by then I have a certain I'm not going to try hard to impress them because the assumption is by then if they are also willing to, then they're reasonably they like what they've heard so far. Take
yeah,
that step. But sometimes people are awkward. It's not that easy for everyone to just open up and have an honest conversation. And I'm not saying people lie, but there is that little. So sometimes it's nice to have a little story that just kind of makes them laugh a little
absolutely,
bit. And
absolutely. And for
so
me, it's like you have to just play by ear and see what's the mood like, what's the
yeah,
location and setting like. Like
right.
imagine you went for a go-karting date, right? And you went prepared to tell the person your entire life story. You're
Yeah,
in a go-kart. There's noise, there's loud roars of engines going around, echoes everywhere.
yeah,
What are you going to talk about? Right. By the time you're done driving and
yeah.
you go to sit down somewhere to eat, your ears are ringing any and you can't hear anyway.
True that.
So
Yeah,
you have to really know your moment and just say, okay, this is what I'm going to do at this
yeah, yeah,
kind of moment or in that scenario, whatever it may be. But there's many people who just decide to have a plan of action for that entire day and be like, I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that, and then you find yourself in a situation where none of it applies. It's like
yeah.
it's real life. It's not a TV show or something. So
True.
you have to go with the flow, be as adaptive as you can be, and just be like, okay, let's just see what we can do here.
So what about everyone else here in the life? Do you prefer planned dates where you and or the other person have made a plan about how things are going to go, like what you're going to be doing, or do you like a spontaneous let's see where this goes kind of a thing? I personally, I'm a planner. I like to have some kind of idea. I want to know where we are going, some idea of what we are going to do, and I'm perfectly willing and more than willing. I'm like ये मेरा काम है. I'm good at this. So जाने दो. Most people are not as good at planning as I am, so I will plan this. But I do like it when people have managed to pleasantly surprise me. and then, like, it can't be a surprise that someone springs on you, but just kind of like ease into it. Richard is saying plan dates. Yes, you hear me, buddy. Absolutely. Um, so, what are the kind of events that you would take your date on a first date? What are good events? And we've
Uh,
already talked about karaoke. You mentioned
yeah, so
go-kart.
the karaoke, there's DIY. Go-karting on a first date is not ideal because it's just loud. Um, a good movie maybe and a dinner afterwards because you get to actually discuss the film.
Yeah.
You actually get about what you like, what you didn't like. Um, and also it allows you to open up about food and drink and have a
Yeah.
good conversation. So even if the movie was absolutely trash,
Yeah.
there's still something interesting to talk about. So
Mm.
I think that for me, art gallery for sure,
Yeah.
museum perhaps,
Yeah.
things like that. Because obviously that's my liking and that's my space.
Yeah.
But it's also somewhere where you're not really disturbed. So you can actually have a nice conversation,
Yeah.
peaceful, quiet. You get to walk around, explore an area together, see the sights and things like that. So quite fun.
What about everyone else in the life? So personally, I'm not that big on movies, and movies feel like somewhat anti-social experiences because when you're going through the movie, you're not supposed to talk. And I get it. Afterwards, then there is space to talk. But then I'd rather like you watch the movie and come, and I'll also watch the movie and come. Then the date starts like when we are actually able to talk. But I enjoy some of these others. Now I don't know anyone. Well, I know you, but I don't know anyone else who has shown an interest in visiting an art gallery with me. Though I have suggested it, but I have really enjoyed dates in a bookshop, landmark to be specific, not crossword and all of those. Um, Especially if there is a really diverse range of books because I'm a book lover, so obviously another book lover is perfect, and there's just so much to do in a bookshop. And yes, oh, Richard is saying a walk on the beach, simple, cheap, you learn a lot in a short amount of time. Absolutely. That's the other thing I was going to say. I really enjoy walks in Mumbai, that too, because there is so much you just learn about the other person, and it's a kind of a very it brings you both together in a very safe way because it's simple things like how do you cross this road. It becomes a shared adventure, and I'm really calling it an adventure because crossing a road in Mumbai or even walking down the road, so that kind of tells you a little bit about quite a lot, right? Is this person a little reckless? Are they extremely cautious? Do they need me to take care of them, or do they want to take care of me? All those things.
Definitely,
Deliberately
definitely.
Deliberately Weird was also saying, I actually was thinking of books. Walk, and if things click, then maybe dinner, says Gaurav. Yeah. Deliberately Weird also says, please, no movie. You just stole my
So
words,
okay,
Ramya.
so the idea of the movie is most people just assume that you meet, you go for the movie, and then you talk later. A good movie date actually starts before the movie. So if both people are able to get there on time, way
Yeah,
before the film, you actually have your first conversation before that. The anticipation of
yeah,
the film. Why are we watching this? What do you like about the actor? You can actually
yeah.
build a really good conversation about it.
True, true, true,
But
true.
most people just end up saying, "Okay, I'll see you there," and then meet at the time where you have to enter
Yeah.
and sit down. That takes away the magic from the whole experience,
But
right?
it's Mumbai, right? And I know I just said,
It
walking
is,
around, but here's the
but
thing.
here's my thing. We've kind of become jaded in that sense that it's Mumbai, so I'm going to expect traffic, and so I'll just show up and meet you at the theater. Right? We've taken the magic away from the idea of
I'll tell you where that, no, I'll tell you
let
where
me
that
try
comes
and
from.
get there 25 minutes earlier.
See, I'll tell you how where that comes from. If I'm going out for a walk, then mentally I'm already prepared. I am going to be sweaty, and there's no point in dressing up like this with all this makeup and
Correct.
this dress and all that. I'm already in a mind frame. If on As opposed to that, if I'm going to go into a movie theater, I know I'm going to get cold, so I'm going to carry a jacket and all of those.
Absolutely.
Now, if I'm going to travel through traffic, then stand outside, maybe walk around, and then go to go. That is, it's just, maybe it's just me. It is just too many changes and all happening. Then I'm worried more about those things than, actually being able to enjoy the date. And I'm sure then I'm not a very good date then. I have to ask you this, by the way, because I mean, it is just your bad luck to be the token man in this conversation. But Jay, what is it with Indian men and long drive pe jayenge? So many
Because
men. on dating
because
apps.
घर पे privacy नहीं मिलती है ना, इसलिए.
फर्स्ट डेट है बॉस. आई मीन फर्स्ट डेट भी नहीं, डेटिंग प्रोफाइल में माय हॉबीज
They like to
इंक्लूड
drive.
वॉचिंग टीवी.
The idea of a long drive. Okay, so the idea of a long drive is that you actually get to drive and enjoy driving. Most of the guys who say this actually enjoy driving their cars, right?
Most of the
And they
guys who
don't really.
say this do not have their own car.
No, of course. So either they want to be driven around or they want to drive around. The
No,
point is
maybe
they
they
don't
have
want to be
Danky
they don't want
Kitty,
to
a
be
friendly
anywhere
one.
near. But Amir, they don't want to be anywhere near where anyone can recognize them. That's the idea.
So that is super shady, na?
It's not shady because where in the city do you get any kind of privacy to be away from anyone you know who's going to hound you and talk to you and ask you 1,000 questions and relate it to your family or whatever when you don't want that to happen?
Yeah, but see, first of all, it's shady because this becomes a safety issue. You are talking to a
Of course,
woman you have
I'm
never
not
met
saying no to
before,
that.
and you expect her to
I'm
get
not saying
into a
no to
car
that.
with you. Huh, that is one.
Absolutely.
Second thing is,
Absolutely.
in my experience, the kind of guys who have this long drive pe jayenge have nothing else of interest. This long drive is a substitute for
Of course.
personality.
Exactly.
Deliberately, we are to sing car. I don't even have a bike.
I'm not saying any of these guys are interesting, nor are they very good human beings for the most part. Most of them are just your average Joe who doesn't have much to do in life and just wants to get some privacy. That's literally all it is.
Yeah, that's just, and
For the
that's
most
just
part, at least
sad.
in a city like Bombay, that's the situation. Because
Yeah.
for you and me, when we say long drive, we're thinking of I'm sitting in traffic for an hour and a half.
Exactly. I mean, I would still get it if it
We're
was
not
Delhi
driving
or somewhere
anywhere.
else. Because there are ways, there are places, like I'm saying walks, there are similarly ways in which you can enjoy a drive. There is no way to enjoy a drive
Absolutely.
from A to B
So
in
if
Bombay.
you live in Navi Mumbai, yes, you can talk about long drive pe jayenge because you can actually have open roads that you can drive for
Not in
lengthy
Mumbai.
distances.
It's
Not
like,
in Bombay.
Chal
In
Jay,
Bombay, you're
let
sitting and
me
you're
put
like,
you
let us do long drive from Andheri to Kolaba
Bandra to
and back
Kunda.
because it will take us 4 hours to do that.
Exactly. Though that said, I did have an impromptu undate with someone from Bandra to Andheri. Who I am, this is someone that you know and someone that I don't particularly like anymore, but this is someone that I because they like get the like credit where it's due. This was fun. This was someone that I met at one of the performance events very very early on, and the events used to happen in Bandra, and they got over by like midnight or so, and we were still talking. And I said, okay, so, and I'm very confidently, I'm like, confidence is my superpower, and it's also what gets me into all kinds of trouble. So I'm like, come out with me and drop me to an auto, and we can continue this conversation. Like, I just ordered him, and he's like, okay, come. So we walked because it was inside one of the lanes, so there wasn't an auto outside, and this was before there was Uber and all. So we walked in.
Hmm.
Then I found an auto, and he had to go towards town. So, I mean, obviously he couldn't take an auto. So I said, get into the auto and we'll pass as soon as we get to a cab, you can get down there. And we continued talking, continued talking. Then at some point I saw the cabs there. I thought I was being very smooth. I said, okay, so you have a choice here. Stop what you're saying right now. You have a choice here. You can get down, cross the road, and there are cabs over there that'll take you to town. Or you can stay in the auto with me, continue this conversation all the way to Andheri. Very smooth, right? And he said, oh, why not? And he actually came all the way to Andheri to continue the conversation, got down, and then took a cab all the way back to town where he had to go. So, but I still thought that that was an undate, and that was quite a lot of fun. And nothing, no hanky panky
Absolutely.
in the auto. We had a conversation. It was a good conversation. So,
Yeah.
so
I
yeah,
think
in that sense,
a lot of
I
I
did
think a lot
ask
of people just
one of the
assume that
hotels.
first date means you're going to get some, which is not true. A first
Yeah.
date is not about it's about getting to know the person and deciding whether or not at some point down the road they're going to get some.
So I know you were iffy about this, but can I bring up that question that you thought we were not entirely sure about? You
Go
forgot
ahead.
the question. Okay, so I did ask. Okay, 1 minute. Deliberately weird is saying. Also, I find both traveling long drive and watching movie in theater exhausting. Correct. Deliberately weird is very tired in life, and I completely understand you, my friend. I completely get it. Richard is saying it is damn boring and borders on creepy power fantasy. I know, right? Are these all Mumbai people? Because I think we only don't like drives at all. So okay, the question I wanted to ask, and I did post a poll on this, but kisses at the end of the first date are too much pressure, or absolutely it's not a date without it? What do you think, Jay?
Well, it doesn't have to be not a date without it. It can most certainly be a very good date without a kiss at the end. Both people have to be completely comfortable with it. Both have to want to lean into it.
Yeah.
And
Literally
honestly,
lean
if you're
into it.
feeling, yeah, quite literally, I mean, if
No,
you're
but
not
no, it
feeling
doesn't
comfortable
like
about it, then
nice
you
like
shouldn't be leaning into it at all. You should be leaning away from it.
yeah, and then you can do
That's
like a flying kiss thing.
something.
Social distancing के साथ.
Yeah, I mean, you don't even need to do that. It's just like a wave is also good. A handshake is also perfectly fine. Um, it really depends on what you feel your comfort levels are. It
Yeah.
really depends on where you feel the situation is going, and if it's something that you just want to try and see if there is something there, then it's
Yeah.
worth going for. But you have to be both willing and ready. I must say that if you are beginning the engagement for that case and you see that they are not in the most
Yeah.
comfortable space or in a ready space, then just back off. Just don't even try to take another step forward or lean in another 6 inches. It's really not good. And your moving back actually shows them the respect that they deserve as a person in your presence, where you're respecting their boundaries and just saying, yeah, okay, now's not the time. But more importantly, just be aware. Just know
Hmm.
your moment
Yeah.
and don't just overstep a boundary and be like, "Ugh," like that, because
Yeah.
that's just.
No, no,
And I'm
absolutely.
again, I'm saying this both for men and women
Yeah,
and
yeah, absolutely. No, absolutely.
everyone being included,
Correct.
because
I'm
we're all
entirely
weird
with that.
creatures as human beings. We're just an odd species. We do dumb shit. Pardon
True.
my French.
No, it is
So we
literally
need
for
to be a little bit more
everyone.
aware of what
It's
we're
for
doing.
men, women, straight people, gay people, everything. All aspects of the human spectrum. And when we are talking about dates, I mean the reason I keep saying he is because I've been on
No, no,
straight
of course,
dates,
you're
so
speaking
that's
from
why.
your sense of
Huh.
direction.
But,
Absolutely.
otherwise, when we are talking about dates, it's literally
Yeah, it goes for
the most
everyone.
basic idea of a date is two people typically coming
Correct.
to explore some kind of a romantic, usually romantic connection with each other. So, though of
Absolutely,
course, I
absolutely.
call these also my dates only. So every week I've been on a date. So now it's not entirely true that
Definitely.
I've only dated men. So because it's on record, I've dated enough women also on the live. But
Absolutely.
Richard is saying, is that why blue is a theme? A little subversive nod to male expectations. Nicely done, my friend. You read
But
my
why is
face.
blue a male color? Why is blue a male expectation
Because I'm
situation at
satirizing
all?
all of it now. This look is called satirizing beauty. Because I
Yeah,
painted on eyelashes
absolutely.
and like I painted on blue eyebrows and all that. So I'm satirizing all of that. It's also like super
Oh,
feminine and all of it
absolutely.
is blue.
Absolutely, absolutely. But I still find it weird that there is still a connotation that blue is for boys and that kind of nonsense
True,
because like
agree.
color is
So
a color and choose a color is run with it.
So I have a question, but I'm going to tell you the question and then read the next comment. But what is first date appropriate clothing? And think about that for a second while I read Richard's other comment. Richard says, ask for a kiss in the moment, but from a distance. It's like, kiss me, Jay. Give space so you can enter into it when you're allowed. Sorry, Richard. You know I'm not making fun of you. I'm just kind of, I'm in a mood to parody everything. So, yeah.
No, no, absolutely. In terms of clothing, well, anything that is appropriate for the situation and that you are comfortable wearing. You don't have to live to any expectation that the other person might have of what is appropriate clothing for that situation. If what you're wearing is you and you are happy, that's what it should be. Of course, if you decide that you're going to the NCPA to watch the Symphony Orchestra of India perform and you're wearing like I don't know, the least amount of clothing available to the human body, yeah, they're just not going to allow you in there
Yeah.
because it doesn't fit the. So you have to just be a little cognizant of where you're going and what you're doing.
Right.
Also, like you said, Ramya, like going for a movie, if you know you're going to feel cold, be prepared. It's as
Yeah.
simple as that. Like
Yeah. Yeah.
cinemas get cold, carry a jacket, carry a stole, carry a shawl, something,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? But if you also know you're going for a walk,
Yeah.
make sure you're wearing the right
Don't
shoes.
wear high heels.
If you
Yeah.
turn up wearing like knee-high boots or like like steel toe boots or something for a walk,
Right.
you're
Yeah.
just stupid for no reason. that's not comfortable walking wear, and you're just going to be in trouble with like shoe bites and stuff at the end of it, which is going to make you look odd because you'll be walking around doing this with your face out of pain, which is just
Yeah.
not okay.
No, but there
Comfort
again,
is the key.
yeah. No,
Comfort is
but
the
there,
key.
I think you and I have something in common, partly because of our personalities and partly because of the lives we live there. But I'm really quite keen to know what everyone else also thinks because, and I'm going to try my best not to be judgmental about this because after all, we are not necessarily going on dates. So what you want is what you want. That's completely fine.
Absolutely.
But
Absolutely.
like for instance, I'm also an unconventional dresser, and you are also, at least you don't fit the traditional conventions of dressing. But I know it makes a lot of people uncomfortable. I don't know if you've experienced the same thing, but at least in my experiences, a lot of men are deeply uncomfortable if, for instance, I wear a sari with a leather jacket, and I have worn stuff like this because they are expecting it to look a certain way, woman to look a certain
Correct.
way, date to look a certain way,
Absolutely. I
all
mean,
of that.
like Alama said in the chat over here, I love wearing sari blouse in spite of being a man. Well, that's your right, and you should be able
Yeah,
to wear that no matter
absolutely.
what, because
Yeah,
who gives a flying rat's behind about what expectations are? Expectations
correct.
lead to disappointment. You're expecting someone to wear something, you're going to be disappointed when they don't wear it. So why do we need to be focusing on what other people are expecting and like changing who we are for that? Wear what you're comfortable with, wear what you think represents you as a person. It's
I
your
think
first
that's
date,
very important,
their
right?
first date.
I
So
mean,
like,
I think it's perfectly fine if a person is not, like I've been told a lot, everyone is looking at us. It looks so
good.
attention grabbing. And my
So
attitude is,
good,
why do you
no?
say attention grabbing as if it is a fault? Like, I'm
Yeah,
not attached,
it's
like,
good.
मेरे को अच्छा लगता है attention, boss, हाँ. But I'm okay. I also understand that not everyone wants that, not everyone is comfortable with that. But at least this way, we
Correct.
know there is a disconnect. Nothing's going to happen between us because, like,
No, but
I will
Ramya,
represent myself authentically.
there is also that other side of it where you're saying that you know who I am
Yeah,
from what you've seen.
correct.
You know what I'm going to probably come
True.
looking like.
True.
If you're okay enough to make sure that you are seen with me in public at that stage, then why the hell are we having this conversation to begin with?
Exactly. True, true.
Right.
That's
If you
fair.
knew you
That
were going to
makes
be
sense.
uncomfortable, then
Yeah.
why didn't you just not ask?
Correct. True, true
Like it's
that.
as simple as that. It's just basic common sense that people refuse to kind of like take into account and do
Yeah,
that kind of
so
thing. So
again, I don't, I want to be fair about this. I think also, so and one thing we didn't touch on at all, and we are almost at 1 hour, but I want to touch on this. But attraction on a first day, that's a very important part of it, right? Both people are trying to assess because, especially if it's the first date, then it is definitely, it's possibly the first time the two of you have met in person, or it's the first time that you are meeting each other in a context, like you might know each other from work or friends or something like that. First time you're saying, okay, let's actually think about this openly, whether this is
yeah,
something that is possible. Maybe I don't like the way you dress is part of I'm not attracted to you. So that's why I want to say that let's be fair about it. Maybe
absolutely.
people have their tastes and all that. So what do you think? How do you assess? When is it appropriate to decide? How do you express it? And this is again
Well,
for in the life.
this is a very subjective kind of thing, obviously, because everyone has their own ways of or rather parameters of judging. But the most important thing I think is just go in with an open mind.
Yeah,
Trust your instincts, trust your gut, and listen to your body. Your body will tell you what it needs to.
yeah,
Most people forget that their body has a language of its own
yeah,
and they just constantly listen to their mind, but you have to listen to both and get a clear sensibility from both. So I think for me, it's just about am I comfortable? Do I feel like I want to be around this person? Do I want to spend more time with them? Do I want to see them again?
yeah,
That
yeah.
that is when you know, and I think that's when you can make
Yeah,
your
yeah,
decision.
absolutely, absolutely. And it's a very likewise for me. It is actually genuinely. I know it's a cliche, but it is less about the physical features and
Yeah, that's a
so much
bonus.
about things like the person's body language or how they express what they feel passionate about, whatever it may be. Something I'm not passionate about, but are they open about it, are they joyful about it, are they angry, resentful? These are all things that really it's not a clear cut formula, but you can get a good sense of it on a first date. um,
Absolutely.
yeah. I think it comes back to that. Do I want to see this person again in whatever context? Okay.
Definitely,
So
definitely.
we are almost at an hour. We still have a couple of minutes to go. So before we kind of cut, I want to ask you: do you want to plug anything, Jay?
Well, there's a couple of podcasts that I want to just shout out to everyone. There's a brand new one called Out of Ink.
Out of ink?
Two
Okay.
two
Hmm.
British artists, both very anxiety-ridden individuals. They've decided to start the podcast and talk about their levels of anxiety, how they deal with different aspects of things. They've got 2 episodes out right now. It's available on Spotify and other platforms as well. Again, it's called Out of Ink. Absolutely fantastic. The other thing that I really want to just plug is uh, my own website is something that is important, but I don't want to plug my website. What I want to plug is the idea that if you're an artist, if you're a creator of some kind, don't sit on the idea of getting a website, go out and do it. It's important. It takes a bit of work, but I think it's very important where, because it's in the context of the first date scenario, in most cases, it's going to be the first time that a person is really going to get to know you
Yeah.
by going through your work and reading about what you've written on there and really, really kind of tying in themselves with you
Right.
for the
Yeah.
first
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
So we have Instagram, we have all of these things, which is great, but
Yeah.
that's not the real you because you get to curate your website and really talk about
Yeah.
yourself. So
Yeah.
what I want to plug is the idea of websites. As an artist, as a creator, as a writer, as a chef, as whatever you are,
Yeah.
put the time and effort into creating the best first date experience you can for everyone out there.
I think
The world is
that's
changing.
a great
The
plug.
first
Yeah.
date connotation is not just now that we must go out for dinner or
Yeah. Yeah.
eat
Yeah.
pani puri or
Absolutely.
something like that.
Absolutely.
But
Yeah.
the idea is to say, here's me in the most honest way possible. Take a look, say hello, and let's take it from there. I think so.
True.
That's for me. Those are the two things. Um, one of the reasons I wanted to plug the Out of Ink podcast is it's not an aspect of creative life that most people talk about on their podcast these days. And the work that both these women do is absolutely amazing. One is a digital artist, the other is a wood engraver who has a beautiful dog called Winnie, and she's just moved into a new studio. And she's constantly just talking through her posts as well on Instagram,
Yeah.
making it inclusive. So for her deaf reader, for deaf followers, they have words on screen to follow. So she's
Oh.
really,
Okay.
for every time you comes to her post,
Yeah.
her name is Molly Lemon.
Okay.
Her handle is Molly Lemon Art, and I'm sure I'll be sharing that with Ramya for her to
Yeah.
put
Yeah. That'd be
in
great. Yeah.
the title for this in the caption. But go check them out, listen to them. They're absolutely hilarious in their own little way, and they like to discuss things in terms of things.
Yeah.
So, for example, in the first episode, they talked about their level of anxiety in the form of cakes.
Okay.
So, cakes they like and cakes they don't like. So, again, it's a lovely first date scenario when you're trying to get to know something for the first
Right.
time.
Yeah.
And it's a nice way of kind of figuring out, okay, this
Yeah.
is a conversation I could have with someone on the first date of my own. It's really interesting. So
Lovely.
yeah, those are my 2 plugs. Thank you
So
so
why
much,
don't you
Ramya.
tell me your website as well? Because I think banta hai, like, and I'll type it up
Absolutely,
so it's there in the
absolutely.
comments. What is the website?
Definitely.
Yeah.
My website is artwithzayu.com, artwithzayu.com. And yeah, if you guys come along, check out some art, make some your own. There's always new stuff that's going to be going up,
And
a
ask
lot
Jay
more.
out. And ask Jay
So
out.
for that, Instagram DMs are there. But
Slide
yeah, I
right in
mean,
his
for
DMs.
absolutely, absolutely. So yeah, thank you so much. It's been a fun time talking about something so random and so different. Usually
Thank you,
talking about
Jay.
art.
As always, you're so much fun and so colorful. So thank you so much, and thank you all of you for being here today. Even
Absolutely.
in these times, for making the effort to try and remember there is more to life, and we will get through this. Thank you so much.
Definitely.
I will save this to my IGTV and everything. The universe willing, I will do this again next Wednesday. So stay safe, everyone, and let's hope we're all going to a better place in the next few days. All right. Good night and thank you. Thank you, Jay. Bye.
Bye, everyone. Stay safe.